as there is such a lot of discrediting happening, more and more and more and more and more and more varied and versatile discrediting of everyone and everything involved. I figured, and since unfortunately due to that consequently fewer and fewer people are likely to actually look things up in the documents that I wrote and not instead trust their deliberately wrong fake memories of me allegedly having put that differently once or having explained that differently once, which I did not. I figured we should do a little technical terms thing on the connections as they used to be possible and as some might still be standing and as they are possible these days. Now, I made a very simple illustration. I want you to understand what is what. So let's go through one by one. This here is supposed to resemble the brain/nervous system. This shape here. We'll get to the hole there in a moment. This here is, as the name says, Proxy tech. This is a little device that emits a field. That's these blue lines that illustrate the field, and the idea of this illustration is that you can see that the brain can be in the proxy field emitted by the proxy tech. Independent thereof, there used to be the regular telecom infrastructure, as in, you know, the cell phone towers, not fucking satellites, not fucking submarines, not fucking Martian satellites around Phobos, not fucking pyramids emitting crap, regular stupid fucking cell phone towers as they are to be found on the roof of every 10th building here in Vienna. Resembled by this large gray thing here. And on the other side, so the idea is that this is one side of a connection, this is the other side of a connection, so you can have a series of such towers, of course, and eventually on the other side you have another piece of proxy tech and another brain. The thing in here is a very interesting, what I made turquoise, is a very interesting thing. I'll get to that. So let's start with what used to be possible. I'm gonna take the color red, although that's not the nicest of red. Let's see. Yeah, let's take that blue instead. We don't have that kind of blue yet. So, what used to be possible? It used to be possible that you could connect anything to anything. However, see, not allowed to discredit on, first of all, whenever I say brain to brain, I do not mean, and I wrote that explicitly, bold, underlined, and so on and so forth in the documents, I do not mean, oh, I am the great telepath. This is not what I ever talked about, nor is it what I mean now when I still mention in the document every now and then brain-to-brain connections. That is not what I'm talking about. Brain-to-brain connections always were and never were anything other than the brain connecting to the telecom infrastructure, not to a piece of proxy tech, and depending on where the other person is, most likely then the connection being passed on through the regular communication network till there it goes to the brain. This is what I mean by brain-to-brain communication. The thing you must understand, and that makes all the difference in the world for you to understand, is the difference between an actual connection and merely being in a field. There is the treacherous wrong analogy in grasping reach of just imagining, well, what's the big deal? So this is with a landline and this is wireless. So what's the big deal? It's the same thing. No, it is not at all the same thing. This is an actual connection. This is merely someone farting your own wavelength brainwaves into your general direction. This makes all the fucking difference in the world. Okay? This is such a big difference that I'm hard pressed to even give you an analogy that wouldn't be inappropriate. Okay? This is... It's like... I don't know. I'm short of an analogy to give you on the sheer difference that this makes. This is what used to be possible. Why was it possible? I'll undo this line. Now, the thing is, it used to be that everybody was visible, so to speak, for the telecom infrastructure. Now, the whole logic involved here is a set of two ingredients. Number one, well, I'll just use this crosshair cursor. As you can see, I allowed myself to make a little turquoise line here within what is really the shape of the gray representing the tower. This is particular routines hidden in the ROMs, most likely. For decades now, standard includes shit like that. Or whatever else that some delusional people in their faces added to the shit, especially over in America, and that is quite a while ago. And technology advances so quickly. Oh, we've been standard including that shit for the last, what is that, 15 years? There is a certain set of routines for this, all of this unseen connecting people to one another, that's actually in hardware, so to speak. The truly connecting information, though, is, as I always called it, in the air. What does that mean? That is what I mean with this turquoise sprayed area here. This is countless brains that all have a connection like this. And it works that way that every single brain is given a piece of, a chunk of information to remember. For instance, 10, and I must admit I have no idea on the actual number, but 10 is a very low guess. I'm pretty sure that you can pull 25 easily, maybe even 50 without any problem. Chances are you can pull as many as 500 a person, who knows. But remember, 50 complete data sets of individuals. And be it as a core of that 50, not in its entirety. They do have strangers, so to speak, added to that set, but be it as a core of individuals, merely those that you know personally. So, you know, I know so many people personally, and 10 of them say I know very well, so I would be told to remember information on these 10, and you would get automatically a network in here of, not really network in the sense that they are all connected, not at that point necessarily, but simply as of information stored. For instance, my fictive buddy, and no, mind you, I do not have a fictive buddy, trust me, but I just try to give an example. So, a fictive buddy of mine called Joe Smith, works, is born down there. I know I have, see, the thing is, you don't have to actually enter this information into any particular database. The criticism, oh Jesus, you know how many data fields there would be? Like, what's his favorite color and what's his favorite food? That's ridiculous. No, there is no fucking database as such. Because there's just a core amount of fields that you have to remember, like the guy's name, what he does for a living, that is very important, his function, and of course his master number, as I call it. I missed that term, I'm going to write that in here. What is the master number? Master number is the term that I used. I'll make a hash in front of it. No, actually I'll make it afterwards. The master number. The master number is basically that brain's absolutely unique phone number, if you will. And I would be told by this here that, oh, by the way, brain, your buddy Joe's master number is whatever the fuck. And I know I would not be the only person who would know my buddy Joe, because his wife would know him, and his parents would know him, and his colleagues at work would know him, and also he himself would know himself. That's also a thing that I am absolutely certain that it used to be, before I deleted all shit, that even, and in particular, no one out there carried as much information, which only superficially is a duh kind of thing, about you than you yourself. So, anyhow, the point is, in here is quite a few people who know Joe Smith, I think we call him. And if anybody other than me who is already remembering Joe Smith's information, and actually I'd be in here somewhere for that purpose, right? Let me give you another example. If this were somebody else and not me, if this were, I don't know, if this were Marlon, say, back in the day, if this were Marlon and he wanted to contact Joe Smith, he would dial, so to speak, the word is on the tip of my tongue. The logic in here, which is to a certain extent something to the extent of a connecting lady, huh? Way back in the olden days. What do you call it? They had a technical term, these ladies. In German, you would call it die Dame vom Amt. He would basically think at that set of information down the lines of, okay, I need this Joe Smith dude. I think he works in that and that. He's, I don't know, part of Austrian Aerospace. And just as an example, or wait, I know boy in Vienna knows him. And eventually, the point I'm trying to make is that in this information, even though every single brain in there just remembers a handful of data of just a handful of people, there would always be overlap to guarantee that there's always someone in reach of the infrastructure who would be able to supply that information to whoever would need it to make a direct brain-to-brain connection. That is the thing. That is the dialing process. Right? Now, and eventually, as I illustrated before, the connection would be forwarded to the tower nearest to Joe Smith, and eventually Marlon would get his ass connected to Joe Smith. And I would not be involved in his connection, mind you. I would just be in there as supplying the information, right, for the connecting infrastructure, and not for Marlon specifically directly. I would just be one of these myriads of little dots here. And I just supply the information that I'm being told to remember in my head and hold available to have it in the air, right? Now, I'll make this a multi-part video. I'll stop this part here.